Hello, BookTube. I have a Friday mail haul for you here on Friday afternoon. You might hear in the background thunder and lightning. It's suddenly violently thunder and lightning, but without any rain and without the sun disappearing. So we're having a sunshine thunder and lightning storm. Uh, but whether or not the world is ending, we still have some packages we can open together, and it ends in a box, so that's always good. Let's see what this first one is. A Friday. I'm on the precipice of an extremely bookish weekend. I'm going to spend an extremely bookish weekend. I'm going to do virtually nothing else. I got groceries today to stock up, so I don't need to go anywhere except to walk Frida. And as long as the heat and humidity is so bad here, Frida doesn't want to walk for any length of time. So I'm going to subsume myself in books and writing. Oh, great. Okay, this is from Pegasus. This comes out in November. And when I mentioned it in a catalog tour that I did, it got by far the best response from all of you. It seemed to be the book that you were most interested in. This is by Kate Williams, and it is The Betrayal of Mary, Queen of Scots, Elizabeth I and Her Greatest Rival. A riveting and authoritative new history tells the story of Elizabeth I and her betrayal of Mary, Queen of Scots. At the end of the Tudor era, there were two women on two thrones, but this was a man's world, and many believed that no woman should govern. All around Elizabeth and Mary were sycophants, spies, and detractors who wanted their power, their favor, and their bodies, and so they became one another's closest confidants in their struggle as both women and queens. Okay. Elizabeth had many close confidants. In her lifetime, she would never have said that Mary was one of them. But alliances are few, but for many years theirs survived, until the forces rising against them, all the struggles of loyalty and dynasty, drove them apart. It was a schism that would end in the secret assassination plots, devastating betrayal, and eventually the signing of Mary's death warrant. Okay, so an old familiar story, but I'm always up to have it retold. So this comes out in mid-November, and it's Tudor history, and like I mentioned on this channel, there hasn't been much of that in 2018 in the popular press, so I'll gladly take what I can get. Let's see here. What is this next one? Feels like a finished copy of something. Oh, it is. Okay. I didn't request this, but and I didn't request it. I don't know how to think about it. It's due in late August, so I have to figure out how I think about it pretty soon. But this is by Sophie Hannah, and it is The Mystery of the Three Quarters. It's a new Hercule Poirot mystery. And those words just don't seem to go together for me. They just don't. And that's odd. It's odd. It's an odd contrast because, of course, I can't get enough Sherlock Holmes pastiche novels. And I think the reason why something like this or something like that Jeeves and Wooster novel that was done a little while ago is, I think the reason why these things tend to grate against me is that they have the author's name. They are obviously... This is not an Hercule Poirot pastiche. This is, as you can see, the new novel. The new Hercule Poirot mystery. When, if you're going to call this, Agatha Christie pastiche fiction, fine, then take her name off there in blue letters and just advertise it for what it is. But if you're going to say that somehow she's irrelevant and her creations can continue to be written by other people in canonical official books, I don't know. It's an odd question. It's going to come up more and more often because literary properties. Publishers are going to become more and more reluctant to let go of literary properties. But pastiche fiction I'm fine with. But somehow passing on the mantle of official canon to some other writer? Anyway, this is due in late August, and it is maybe that's the way for me to get around this. Maybe that's the way for me to read it and enjoy whatever it is that I can enjoy, and also maybe write about it, is just to think about it as a pastiche novel, whether it calls itself one or not. Maybe that's just the way I should do it. Otherwise, it just feels like sacrilege, even though I have never for a moment thought that a Sherlock Holmes pastiche novel was sacrilege. I have never for a moment thought that. But anyway, let's move on here. What is this? What is this next one? Oh, you're up on the bed. Do you want one of these? You can almost see the takedown in the background there. It gives us so much pleasure. I don't mind taking time to clean up after it. So this is from Harvard University Press. It's due in early September. It is... It's by Timothy Aubrey, and it's called Guilty Aesthetic Pleasures. Great cover. Fantastic cover. In the wake of radical social movements of the 1960s and 1970s, literary studies' embrace of politics entailed a widespread rejection of aesthetic considerations. So far, so good. I agree with that. It's largely what drove me. It's largely what disenchanted me with academia. For scholars invested in literature's role in supporting and challenging dominant ideologies, appreciating literature's formal beauty seemed frivolous and irresponsible, even complicit with the iniquities of social order. This suspicion of aesthetics became the default posture within literary scholarship. Absolutely true. A means of establishing the rigor of one's thoughts and the purity of one's political commitments. Yet, as Timothy Aubrey explains, aesthetic pleasure never fully disappeared from the academy. It simply went underground. Okay, I'm on board. I have dealt with graduate students who are firmly in the grip of what this book describes, where they were studying an author without ever enjoying that author. And I would ask them, okay, you're deep down the rabbit hole now of semiotics and feminist critical theory, but somewhere in the back, way in the back history, somewhere in high school or somewhere or other, you originally had to like Louisa May Alcott or Lewis Carroll or something like that, right? I mean, somewhere along the line, if I go into your childhood bedroom, I'm going to find a lovingly underlined copy of one of their books, right? And I had many graduate students who are extremely bitter creatures anyway, but I had many graduate students tell me, no, they've always hated this author that they're going to devote their life to. and the ascent of that kind of political reading, that kind of political rationale for literary criticism, has driven entirely out of the canon a whole handful of authors that ought to be still firmly there. They ought to be firmly there. I think, of course, since I love the Victorians, the first name that comes to mind when I think about that is Rudyard Kipling, a great writer who's not studied anymore at all, and not for any literary fault or rhetorical fault, but because he doesn't have the right politics, or at least the people who think they know about him and are happy to pontificate him don't think he has the right politics. So I'd like to see a hard and fast separation of the two. I can't wait to read this now and see what the author has to say. I'm sure the author will not end up agreeing with me completely, because the author, I'm sure, is an academic. Let's see. Yeah, professor of English at Baruch College, City University of New York. He would be driven out of that position, and then driven out of any other position, including bagging groceries, and then his house would be burned down, and then the ground would be salted and raised, and his children and his relatives and his in-laws would all be hunted down, driven from their own jobs, driven to penury, driven to the social relief roles. There's a ready-made mob to attack you if you end up on the side. To rip you to pieces, one might say, if you end up on the side of saying that politics should get its presence out of literary criticism. So he will back off from that conclusion at the end of the book, but I still can't wait to read the rest of it. So what else we got here? This also feels like a finished copy. Another stack of finished copies. Good Lord. Oh my. Okay, I don't think we ever got this as an advance copy. This is due in September as well. Oh, my September shelf. It's just going to be a nightmare. It's just, there's no other word for it. It's just going to be a nightmare. Okay, I never got an advance copy of this. This is the new novel by Gary Steingart. This is Lake Success. The story of Barry Cohen, a myopic, narcissistic, hilariously self-deluded hedge fund manager who oversees $2.5 billion in assets. Raised in eastern Queens and known in his childhood classmates as the pool man's son, He has done a lot of work to become Barry Cohen, a man who owns, among other things, a 4,000 square foot apartment on Madison Park, a fine watch obsession, and an MX Black card. Deeply stressed by an SEC investigation and by his 3-year-old son's diagnosis of autism, he flees New York on a Greyhound bus in search of a simpler, more romantic life with his old college sweetheart. Meanwhile, his super-smart wife, Seema, a driven first-generation American who craved picture-perfect life that comes with wealth, has her own demons to face. Okay, so this is the new this is the new soundtrack to my videos, and this is also the new Gary Steinkart novel, which will probably be his semi-funny, semi-hangdog take on upper middle class Connecticut divorce. And then we'll move on to this next one here. It hasn't really been a Steve book so far. Things that I'm interested in, but not a Steve book. Oh, okay. All right, fantastic. This is due, I think, this month. Isn't this due in August? Yes, this is due in the end of August. This is the finished copy of David Auerbach's Bitwise, A Life in Coin. We saw this when I got the advance copy. This is just his story of not only growing up with computers, with the computer industry, with the tech industry, with software and algorithm writing industry, but also his an overview, an impersonal overview on that industry. I read the first half of the advance copy that I have here and really liked it. And I was derailed from reading the second part of that advance copy by a deadline that sprang up out of nowhere like a ninja assassin. And I told myself, don't come back. Just wait until you get the finished copy and then read the whole thing at a shot. So I will, now that I have that. Let's see. Is this next one? Okay. All right, I didn't request this. That's okay, though. This comes out in September. Okay, so this is by Ian Reid, and it is called a review copy, not for resale. There you go. There's the title. And the author is young. He wrote a critically acclaimed memoir, One Bird's Choice. And his second memoir, The Truth About Luck, was named as a Globe and Mail Best Book of 2013. And his debut novel was I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I remember for its cover design, but I don't think I ever read it. And what is this new one? What is review copy not for resale about? One day, a stranger arrives from a city with alarming news. Junior has been selected to travel far away from the farm. The most unusual part, arrangements have been made so that when he leaves, Henrietta won't by any chance miss him because she won't be left alone. Henrietta will have company, familiar company. So did I miss the first part of this? I think I probably did somewhere. No? Let's see. The enormous popularity of shows like Westworld and Black Mirror show that viewers... okay, a little mistake there. Popularity is singular. Popularity shows. Doesn't show, it shows. Popularity shows. You got fooled. The writer of the press release got fooled by the fact that Westworld and Black Mirror are two different things, and hence plural. But the thing that's showing the popularity is anyway. Show that viewers and readers alike are intrigued by the question of what it really means to be or not to be a person. Set in the near future, Junior and Henrietta live a comfortably solitary life on their farm. Far from the city lights, they often go days without seeing anyone else, until Junior is taken away, and Henrietta is left with, I presume, an android, double, or a double of some kind of Junior. Okay, so that's fantastic. That sounds very evocative. Odd that they would give it such a workaday title as review copy, not for resale, but it's the most prominent thing on the cover by far, so it has to be the book's title. Doesn't matter what the title is, of course, I will still read it eagerly, and since it's early September, I can get right to it. I wish I could remember. I am thinking of ending things. I wish I could remember if I've read that or not. I don't think I have. I wish I could remember more about it, whether I've read it or not. I don't think so. I don't think we ever even saw it on this channel, did we? Well, anyway, let's move on now to the box. We've got a box here. Let's see what this has. Do we have more than one goodie? Will it be a single goodie? What have we got here? Oh, it's okay. Those of you who've been watching will know that I periodically get boxes of sci-fi from Angry Robot Press, and this is one of them. Fantastic. Okay, so let's do the first one here. The first one is by Jane Fenn, and it's Hidden Sun, the first book in the Shadowlands series. Look at that cover. Look at that. Boy, that is amazing. Who did that cover? Let's see if we can find out. Since I've praised it, let's see if we can find out. So the cover is a big part of Andreas Rocha, R-O-C-H-A, did that cover. I'll try to remember to link a page and see if the author has a website. So let's see here. That is the cover. An eccentric noblewoman's scientist's journey into a strange new land will change her world forever. Rhea Harlan is a noble in Shen, one of the dozens of Shadowlands which separate the bright alien Skyland. She has, in case you're wondering, the puppy has now found bubble wrap. God help us all. She has a missing brother, an unwanted marriage proposal, and an interest in science considered unbecoming in her gender. Her brother's disappearance coincided with a violent, unsolved murder, and Rhea impulsively joins the search party headed into the Skyland, a place whose dangers and wonders have long enthralled her. The dangerous journey brings her into conflict with a young rebel stuck between worlds of shadow and light, and a charismatic cult leader who believes he can defeat death itself. Oh man, oh man! I've read quite a few Angry Robot of paperbacks of Angry. They do paperbacks, so you could actually buy this without bankrupting yourself. And I've read quite a few of the paperbacks they've sent me in 2018, and loved a large percentage of them. After, I admit, not loving all that many in 2017. I don't know if I'm just getting on their wavelength, or maybe they had an editorial change or whatever. But this is going to be September, I'm sure. Yes, this comes out in September. Fantastic. Okay, so that's the first of these, of the Angry Robot crop this time around. Then the second one, is okay. It's called Daughters of Forgotten Light? Flight? Light? The type font is throwing me off here. By Sean Grigsby. I assume that's Daughters of Forbidden Light. Yes? It's a little bit only. Let's see what we have here. A floating prison is home to Earth's unwanted people, where they are forgotten but not yet dead. Deep space penal colony Oblate, population scum. Lena Horowitz leads the Daughters of Forgotten Light, one of 3 vicious gangs fighting for survival on the satellite. Their fragile truce is shaken when a new shipment arrives from Earth carrying a fresh batch of prisoners and supplies to squabble over. But the delivery includes 2 new surprises, a drone and a baby. Earth's Senator Linda Dolphus wants evidence of the bloodthirsty gangs to justify the government finally eradicating the waste dumped on Oblette. There's only one problem. The baby in the drone's video may be hers. Oh my. Okay. And the author, Sean Grigsby, is a professional firefighter in Central Arkansas, where he writes about lasers, aliens, and guitar battles with the devil when he's not fighting dragons. I love it. No hint here of where this is. If this is also a debut, or no, he did one earlier book. Okay, so this is his second book. I wonder if they share a universe. Shouldn't matter. Ideally, it shouldn't matter. But let's see. And then we'll do the third one here, which is mass market paperback. Also beautiful. Good Lord. This is also beautiful. This is by Tim Pratt, and it is The Dreaming Stars. Just a classic old-world science fiction book. That ancient aliens, the axiom, will kill us all when they wake up. In deep space, a swarm of nanoparticles threaten the colonies, transforming everything it meets into computronium, including the colonists. The crew of the White Raven investigate, and they discover an Axiom facility filled with aliens hibernating while their minds roam a vast virtual reality. The treacherous Sebastian wakes up, claiming his altered brain architecture can help the crew deactivate the swarm from inside the Axiom simulation. To protect humanity's beleaguered Captain Kali Makaido must trust him, but if Sebastian still plans to dominate the universe using Axiom tech, they could be in a whole lot of trouble. Now, that very much sounds like it's not the first book in a series. So what... Okay, she's moved on to a box now. So is this... Oh, it is. Okay, this is the Axiom Book 2. So what... The Dreaming Stars, what was the first one? The Wrong Stars is the first one. Great. Fantastic. And this is... Tim Pratt is a Hugo Award-winning sci-fi and fantasy author who has also been a finalist for World Fantasy, Sturgeon, Stoker, Mythopoeic, and Nebula Awards, among others. Yeesh. Since 2001, he has worked for Locus, a magazine of the science fiction and fantasy field, where he currently serves as senior editor. Okay. All right. So science fiction from a science fiction insider. Fantastic. Might like the first volume to see if maybe they'll send me the first one. But anyway, that's great. So that is our mail, complete with apocalyptic sound effects. So we have Bitwise, A Life in Code. We have The Betrayal of Mary, Queen of Scots, a retelling of a familiar story of the rivalry between these two. We have Agatha Christie, The Mystery of the Three Quartets, but it's not written by Agatha Christie. It's written by Sophie Hannah. It's a new Hercule Poirot mystery. Then Timothy Aubrey, Guilty Aesthetic Pleasures. Wars in Academia, always fun to read about. Then Lake Success by Gary Steingart. Then review copy, not for resale, which is by Ian Reed. Okay, Simon and Schuster. It might be a little lesson to you that I'm not the only one who doesn't like that sticker. Stop it. Stop putting stickers on review copies. Stop treating reviewers like they were would-be thieves. Because, reviewers are doing you a favor as much as you're doing them one. It's a 50-50. But anyway, let's move on here. So we've got Daughters of Forgotten Light. 3 science fiction novels now from Angry Robot. Daughters of Forgotten Light. Hidden Sun. And The Dreaming Stars. A nice batch of science fiction to end the mail haul. So there you go. That is not bad. That's a lot to sink my teeth into. So I'll wrap this up, and go clean up and try and stop her from destroying everything in sight. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.